We all love a good underdog story, right? But what if that story wasn't just about, like, rising from nothing? What if it was about actively dismantling every single label people tried to pin on you, forging your own path completely on your own terms? Well, that's really the core of our deep dive today. We've got this really fascinating narrative. It almost feels like a script for some high stakes web drama or maybe a gripping novel. It follows this one character through just intense challenges, personal and professional.
Yeah, absolutely. And our mission here is not just to, retell the plot. We really want to peel back the layers of this story, find those key moments, those turning points where the labels just get shattered.
Yeah.
And you see this genuine self-worth emerge. We're going to explore what it really means to define your own path, even when pretty much everyone else has written you off. It's about resilience, definitely, but also discovering just how deep that personal agency can run.
Okay, let's dive in then. The story starts with Tammy, and honestly, the way she's first described is it's brutal. The source uses these really harsh labels. So ugly, so tacky, just straight out ugly and tacky. And it's not just looks. She's called a pathetic mom, a loser, someone weak and materialistic. Even Hawes, who's set up as this like financial overlord of North City, actively avoids her, prefers the Eunice.
Hmm.
What really struck me is that even her own son Jordan, at the beginning, he kind of carrots this view. He says, Aunt Eunice is my mom. She gave me the love I never had. Why start her off in such an extreme negative light? What's the narrative purpose there?
That's a really good question. And I think it's very intentional. This initial picture, it's almost shocking, right? It sets the absolute lowest point, the baseline of judgment she has to climb out of. It's not just a character background, it is the challenge. It really highlights the external pressures, the preconceived ideas weighing her down, which makes her eventual rise feel so much more significant. It makes us, the audience, ask, how much do we let other people's labels define us?
Yeah, exactly. And that leads us right into her first real spark of transformation, this pivotal moment at Jordan's school. So Jordan's accused of hurting another kid, Jackson, but here's the thing. Jordan's the only one actually injured. Tammy shows up, and she is not the loser that can be bullied that the teacher and Jackson's mom seem to remember. Not at all. How does she handle this? What does it show us about her finding her strength?
Well, this isn't just a mom defending her kid, though it is that too. It's Tammy taking back her power, her agency, in a very public space.
Yeah.
She immediately goes after the system, right? Challenges the teacher for playing favorites, calls out the bias against Jordan, and her instruction to Jordan, if you didn't do anything wrong, don't apologize. That's so powerful. It's about truth, about integrity, not just accepting blame because someone powerful says so.
Right. And then she does this move that's just, wow. She offers $5,000 for Jackson's medical and nutrition fees. But it's not an apology, is it? It feels more like a calculated, almost sharp move.
Exactly. It sort of exposes their hypocrisy, maybe, their privilege.
Yeah, and it underlines your point. Just because someone's hurt doesn't automatically make their story the true one. Being injured doesn't make it true. That feels like the first big aha moment, not just for Jordan, but for us watching. Tammy is fierce. She's a force.
Mm-hmm. That school incident, it really kicks off this whole phase of Tammy making strategic moves, finding unexpected allies. It starts forging a new path for them.
Mm-hmm.
Soon after, she makes this really tough decision. She decides to take Jordan to find his biological dad, Hans George, the CEO of George Group.
And Jordan, he's initially just like, no way. He's still stuck on his grandma's story that his dad works at a construction site. He can't afford a fancy car like that. It shows you how ingrained that idea of their sort of lower status was for him.
And then comes this really complex moment. Tammy decides to essentially return Jordan to Hans. Her reason is just heartbreaking. She believes staying with me only brings him suffering because she's, quote, broke.
Yeah, it's tough. And Hans's reaction, he offers her $5 million, calls it compensation, and he immediately jumps to this judgment. As expected, you're greedy, treating your son like a cash cow. This first meeting is so critical. What does it tell us about how badly they misunderstand each other right from the start?
Oh, it tells us everything. Hans is completely locked in his world, transactions, power. He just can't grasp a mother's sacrifice like that. He projects his own cynical view onto her. And Tammy, well, she's acting out of this deep, maybe slightly misguided love for Jordan. She actually thinks removing herself is the best thing for him. The story carefully builds this huge gulf in understanding between them. And that gulf, that's the ground they have to cross later on.
It's fascinating how quickly things shift, though, because the narrative throws this incredibly dramatic scene at us next. A home invasion. Jackson's parents, especially the mom, they literally barge into Tammy's home. They want revenge. They're calling Jordan a bastard child, threatening Tammy like, I swear I'll kill you both. It's terrifying. And in this moment of sheer desperation, Tammy makes this bold claim: my husband is Hans, CEO of George Group.
Right. And that declaration, it completely changes the game. It sets the stage for this massive turning point. Hans shows up dramatically, and his reaction is immediate, protective. How dare you touch my son's mother? He doesn't hesitate. He shuts down Jackson's family, blacklists them and their connections. His reason. You're not disturbing me, you're disturbing my child and his mom. And crucially, right there, he confirms it publicly. Jordan is my son, and Tammy is the mother of my child. What's really going on with Hans here? Is it just about protecting his kid, or is something deeper changing in how he sees Tammy?
That's a great question. I think it has to be more than just protecting Jordan. This is Hans, for the first time, publicly validating Tammy, not just as the mother, but as someone under his protection, someone with status connected to him. He's moving past that initial purely transactional view of her. His statement forces everyone there, including maybe Hans himself, to see Tammy differently. It's this really surprising defense, and it totally shifts their dynamic. It hints that his perception is starting to evolve.
Yeah, that intervention is huge. It really paves the way for Hans's view of Tammy to keep changing, although it's not smooth sailing yet. He still misjudges her. Like, he assumes she's using Jordan for money when she won't touch that $500,000 card he gave the boy.
Right.
He just couldn't get his head around the fact that she might have her own principles,
Yeah.
Her own integrity, separate from his money.
Exactly. And meanwhile, you've got Eunice constantly trying to stir things up. She's making up stories. Hans hates children. He's allergic to dogs, trying to paint Tammy as clueless or uncaring.
Classic antagonist move.
Totally. But Tammy just stands her ground, asks Eunice basically, who do you think you are? And what's really telling is how Hans reacts. He consistently shuts Eunice down, defends Tammy and Jordan, says point blank, she's the mother of my child. And he even admits he got over his childhood fear of dogs for Jordan. Now that Jordan likes dogs, I can overcome that fear.
See, that's not just Hans defending Tammy anymore. That's Hans himself changing because of his son, which solidifies this unexpected connection he now has with Tammy, too.
This all kind of builds towards Tammy's big professional moment, right? Her comeback as a goddess in the fashion design world.
Yes, the high-stakes fashion design competition. And of course, Eunice tries her sabotage tactic again, locks Tammy in a bathroom right before the final round.
But Tammy being Tammy, she gets out resourceful just in time.
And her design, Motherly Love, sounds amazing. Dark tones is the primary palette, with light tones as accents, incorporating animal elements, like butterfly embroidery.
Right, but there's drama with the judges, too. Some are biased. And then there's this reveal. Mr. Ethan, that's Eunice's dad, tried to pressure one of the judges, Miss Fanny.
Ah, the plot thickens.
But Mrs. Fanny makes this incredible stand. She votes for Tammy, saying, I believe design should be genuine, so I believe Tammy is the real champion.
Yeah.
That one vote, it just changes everything. Tammy wins most popular and best design, gets launched onto the international stage, joins Zach's company.
Beyond just winning a contest, what's the real weight of this victory?
Oh, it's huge. It's more than just a career boost. It's this massive validation of her talent, her vision, her integrity, all on her own terms in a field where she was probably dismissed before.
Public validation.
Yeah, and Mrs. Fanny's vote, it wasn't just about the dress. It felt like a moral stance, like choosing authenticity over influence.
That kind of genuine recognition, it must reinforce Tammy's own belief in herself, right, after everything.
Absolutely. She's proving her worth on a global stage, purely on merit.
Right. And with that professional success, Tammy really starts claiming her own space, redefining family, love, self-worth, all on her terms. Interestingly, despite Hans trying harder, Jordan still prefers Tammy. Mom is good, dad is bad.
Which leads Hans to actually move into Tammy's home. The reason given is to bond better with Jordan.
Right. Bond's better.
But clearly he wants to be closer to Tammy, too.
And you see his understanding deepen. He actually apologizes, humbly. Says things like, I misunderstood you a lot before. I was arrogant, stubborn, and self-righteous. I had prejudice against you. He starts owning his past behavior, tries to make amends, and he keeps proposing marriage, persistently. Though she keeps saying no, he seems to think formalizing things is the way to fix it.
That apology is a big step for Hans. But the real showdown happens at this George family dinner. It sounds intense. Hans's sister Cheryl just lays into Tammy, calls her lowly trash, says she tainted our family bloodline. Awful stuff.
Oof. High-stakes family drama.
But Hans steps up. Big time. He defends Tammy fiercely, and then he drops the bomb about Cheryl drugging him 6 years ago, which is how Jordan was conceived. He tells his whole family, it's our family who owes you. Talk about flipping the script.
Wow. That's huge. And here's another twist the source gives us. Grandma George. Instead of piling on, she actually shows admiration for Tammy. She admits the family was wrong, even supports Tammy's design talent. That's a massive shift from the expected reaction.
Totally unexpected. And then Hans makes this declaration right there at the table. Even though Tammy's not my wife, but from now on, I won't allow anyone to lay a finger on her.
What does that statement mean for Tammy's position, especially since it's explicitly not about marriage?
I think it's about establishing her inherent worth and protected status within his world, completely separate from being his wife. He's publicly saying she matters, she has agency, treat her with respect, not just because she's Jordan's mom, but as an individual.
Making a boundary for his family.
Exactly. It perfectly sets up Tammy's final, unwavering stance on marriage.
Right? Despite everything Hans does, all the proposals, she consistently turns him down. And her reason isn't about anger or revenge. It comes from this deep place of self-worth, of knowing what she wants. She says it so clearly. Marriage is not the most important thing in my life. I have a job I love, and someone I love. My life is already fulfilled.
And then that powerful line, I'm my own honor. Just, wow. She refuses to marry for status, for convenience, maybe even for Hans's redemption. She chooses her own path, her own definition of fulfillment, even while Hans, totally humbled now, vows he'll never give up. What an incredible arc. From being labeled ugly and tacky, a loser, to becoming this celebrated designer, a fierce mom, and a woman who completely dictates her own terms. Her story just flips expectations constantly. It shows that strength isn't just, physical power, it's self-respect.
Yeah.
Conviction.
Absolutely. This whole narrative, this deep dive, it really highlights how crucial self-worth, courage, and resilience are, especially when you're facing down societal pressure and harsh judgments. Tammy's journey is such a powerful reminder that you don't actually need external validation status, money, even traditional relationships to achieve your dreams or feel fulfilled. Her own honor, as she puts it, it's built entirely from the inside out.
So it leaves us with this thought, doesn't it? In a world that so often judges us by external things, our job title, our relationship status, how much money we have, Tammy's story really pushes back and makes you ask, what does it truly mean to be fulfilled, to be your own honor, especially if that means stepping off the traditional path? What might that mean for your own journey and maybe the labels you're dealing with?